how important was that, finding that fit before you went there?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that everyone tells you, find a place that you can go to that if you are no longer to play your sport due to injury or anything, that you'll still love. And I got that, but I was like, there's no way that's going to happen to me. And then it happened, and I was so lucky that I still love that school.
Hey, welcome to the 183rd episode of the Athletes Podcast, where today we feature Carly Heffernan, a Harvard alumnus, a former Team Canada women's hockey member, as well as an aspiring golfer. She's the most enthusiastic, positive, and uplifting person that you will have the opportunity to listen to. A fantastic 45-minute conversation where she dives into what it's like playing for Harvard and having to balance the academics that come alongside an Ivy League school. Obviously, with the news of the PW, PHA, and the PHF joining forces, this is a timely episode. I can't wait for you folks to listen. If you have questions, comments, please drop them down below in YouTube. I'm going to answer every single one of them. I appreciate you folks for listening to this episode. It's the 183rd. It's actually brought to you by Rooted. They're our sponsor. They provide us with multivitamins, electrolytes, probiotics, nutrients, 3 times the electrolytes of typical sports drinks. If you guys haven't heard about them yet, use the code AP20 for 20% off at checkout and get the best vitamins on the market for you. Quick, easy to go packs. They're the best. Let me know what you think down below. Again, hit that subscribe button. It's the athlete agreement. We appreciate you coming on, supporting, but we need you to subscribe so that we can keep doing this on a weekly basis. I can't thank you enough. Here's episode 183 featuring Carly Heffernan. Here we go.
Carly Heffernan, let's talk about your hockey career. Pretty
Yes.
prestigious individual attending an institution like Harvard. What was it like being a Canadian gal coming from Edmonton, small town, cold weather, crossing the 49th parallel, going to one of the most prestigious institutions in the world?
Yeah, I mean, I remember getting there the first day into Boston. My dad and I flew down, and it was freshman week. And I had never really, I hadn't been to Boston more than a few times. And the intimidation factor, stepping onto campus as a real student in that first week, was just I think everyone has a bit of that imposter syndrome, no matter who you are, which kind of brought a little bit of peace. But yeah, it was amazing. I had an incredible experience. My freshman year was as good as it could have been. Yeah, sometimes I just look back and I'm kind of shocked too, if I'm being honest. So.
Well, I mean, it's crazy that you had imposter syndrome, especially with what you had done before getting to Harvard even, right? So I'd love for you to share how you handled that, because I don't think it's easy for young adults to do. 17, 18 years old, coming onto campus, and you're an adult now. You don't have anyone holding your hand, right?
Yeah. I think that the big thing that helped me was going away when I was 15, 16 to Calgary. I went to the Edge, and I moved away. I was sometimes living a week at a time on my own because my family rented a home in Calgary. And so that really pushed me to be independent. But the idea of being in America and alone and figuring out classes alone was so it's a lot, no matter who you are. So I think the biggest thing was leaning on my teammates. You're given 25 best friends immediately when you step off and onto the campus. So I think that was a huge thing. We leaned on each other.
And you were hanging out with a goalie, which always helps.
Yeah, my friends, or my best friends on the team, typically were goalies. So
it's a nod to the tendy world out there,
and now I have 2 cousins that are goalies that are my closest friends. So it just makes sense. I surround myself with a little bit of goalie energy.
Oh, I thought you were going to say craziness.
A little bit of craziness, but I didn't want to say it. You said it.
I was going to catch you on that one. Hey, we've featured a lot of goalies on here. You're one of the fewer players we've had on. We like to recognize greatness here, though, too. Talking about, pursuit of excellence and what it was like coming here. What were you like?
I would have been my last year, so grade 12. So I went to Edge for 2 years in high school, grade 10 and 11.
That's in Edmonton?
It's in Calgary.
Okay.
So Edge School for Athletes. And then in my final year, I talked to the coaches over at POE in Kelowna, and I thought it'd be a great fit for my final year to get different perspectives and a different training program. And so I went there for my grade 12 year, and being back this is my second time since grade 12. So it's like so nostalgic and so fun.
Kelowna's the best.
I definitely could see myself here in the future.
Yeah, just a little property. We need a couple more co-investors, and then we'll have that one up in
we're
High
rounding
Park.
Up. Yeah, we're just doing our first round of funding. So
yeah, we'll have the group solidified by the end of the summer.
Yeah.
High Point, couple properties locked down. We'll be good to go.
100%.
And you'll have all this energy because of your like newfound Whoop score, right?
Oh my gosh, yeah. So my Whoop, until coming out here to be with you guys, it was struggling in the 20s and 30% recoveries.
What is it? All the Diet Coke you're drinking?
It's probably DC, and probably the lack of sleep. When you are just living alone, you don't really have to like go to bed at a certain time. And when I'm here, Phoenix is like bedtime is at 9 p.m. So
blue light blocking glasses go on at 9.
Yes,
at least. Yes.
yeah. So I feel like being out here has just been so pure and like curing for the soul. And my Whoop score this morning was at 96, which is kind of wild.
That must be your highest score.
It's the highest score in at least a year.
You don't get that in LA because of all the like noise. What do they call that?
Noise pollution.
Noise pollution. Yes, thank you, Phoenix.
That and like what else in LA?
The air pollution, probably a bit of that.
The air pollution. And here it's just so clean with the mountain air and the amazing family and friends.
And good golf. All these golf courses around. I know you've been getting into that. Mm-hmm. Super addicted now.
Yeah, I would say golf now is like my newfound addiction this year, especially. I guess like after hockey, I didn't really find a sport that I was like super passionate about. And now golf, it's like social, but also so you just always want to get better. And so, yeah, I think I'm addicted. And we'll see if that continues. But right now it's like my found love.
What's your top score? Like 84 now or something you shot? 86, 85? What was it?
85 was this year. Yeah, I mean, how cool would it to be to like break 80 maybe in the like next year or so? But
when did you start playing?
I would say last year I was like a 9-hole golfer. Like
you and your cousin,
holes.
Just like picking up golf couple months. You're like, yeah, in the 80s, it's no big deal.
Yeah. And then this year I was like, you know what? I'm like gonna play 18 holes every round, and so now I'm addicted and a member, so that helps. Making
us look bad. I mean, keeping us honest, you know. Not always that you get an opportunity to speak with someone who has the accolades that you do, but also the humble nature. Like you come up to you, we showed up at the end of our AP tour, like on Halloween we met you.
Yeah.
We were like a mess from traveling for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Having done 14 different cities, 25 different shows. Like I'm trying to even think about it right now. I'm getting a little PTSD, but
my God.
You saw us kind of at the end of that first part of the AP tour. What were your thoughts initially first meeting us? I'm curious.
Yeah, I mean, like it's a thing I was talking to my dad about. When you're meeting new people, it's something, but then meeting your family, it's like another level. Mm-hmm. Like I immediately was like I don't know, I just knew you guys as soon as I met you, and it was really comforting having you guys in LA almost, and then being the same age, same background, which is the wildest thing.
Right.
Our cousin obviously connected us, and that was like she immediately knew that we were going to be like tight. So yeah, it was really cool, and really grateful for that.
Yeah, we're just nodding at Phoenix, who's in the background.
Yeah, we're
behind
like
the scenes. Episode 23 for those who haven't listened, but
yeah.
A little plug there. And it wasn't weird, like me showing up with a mustache, full Ted Lasso mode. Like that didn't throw you off.
Yeah, I mean, I was meeting you guys at the end of a Halloween. I had no idea what to expect, and we were just
we're
Ted
athletes.
Lasso, yeah.
Interviewing, we were like, we had to fit the part. We were in LA, kind of like a cleanse. We probably drank some juices. I don't know. When in LA, right?
Yeah,
drink some green juice. Everything's
it's gonna get you some kombucha.
Yeah, you go to Erewhon. What's that? You buy some like $16 smoothies, and you're on your way, right?
Yeah, the culture there will get you.
What did you like? Obviously, Los Angeles Golf and Country Club just hosted the U.S. Open. We just saw Wyndham Clark win. We thought we were going to find you another friend, but like all things considered, you know what? Congratulations to him for winning it.
Yeah.
What did you think of like being able to watch, obviously last week, Nick Taylor winning the Canadian Open?
Yeah.
As a proud Canadian, we like to feature Canadians on the show.
Yeah.
How cool was that to be able to witness? Obviously some greatness and like rewriting history books for Canadian golf.
Yeah, I think it's so important because golf in Canada is like a max 6 months. Right. So we don't really get it. And so you hold on to those 6 months' closely as you can. But seeing that was amazing. And then last night seeing Wyndham win was so cool because he had never really won a championship or anything. So it was, you could see the emotion in him and everyone around him.
Speaking of like famous Canadians, there was a moment where you were on a podium next to Sidney Crosby.
Yeah.
Can you share what that was like, what you said to him? Was he like offering to give you some tips? Were you giving him some tips? What was that conversation like?
I want to say when I met him, it was with Caroline Ouellette, another amazing female hockey player. My coach at the time, Sidney Crosby, the men's coach. And meeting him, like, you try to be as, calm and tame as possible, but it's a different level of starstruck. Like, when you see celebrities, like a singer or something, it's cool, but when you see somebody you looked up to so much, yeah, I was a little bit starstruck. I was probably like 16 at the time. And yeah, he's just so down to earth, such a nice guy. I don't fully remember. I probably blacked out a little bit. But yeah, it was a very surreal experience.
Okay, you brought up coaches.
Mm-hmm.
Have to ask.
Yeah.
Obviously, with everyone going on, Harvard, some stuff in the news.
Yeah.
I never went to Harvard. I can't speak to it. You did. You went through the program, highs, lows, everything in between. We talked before recording this that you wanted to kind of share what your experience was like, and I thought I'd open the space for you to kind of give some insight what that program was like.
Yeah, of course. So I had an interesting experience at Harvard, having to stop playing after 2 years, and so my first 2 years, I can only speak to those years where I was in the locker room, and I can only say that I had such a great experience with all my teammates. Everyone was kind of on the same page. And my coach throughout everything was so supportive of my foot injury. She wanted to keep me on the roster even after knowing that I was no longer going to be able to play. And she supported my surgeries, was somebody who I could go up to her office and talk to anytime. So for me, I do look at her as somebody who I'll forever be connected to and appreciate, and she's a forever friend. And unfortunately, things happen where people have different experiences, so I can't speak on other people's experiences, but I can say that I love her as a coach and as a human. So
how was it balancing Harvard academics and NCAA athletics?
Yeah, I would say the first year was kind of like almost easier than the rest because you kind of take easier classes in your first years, but I think you almost just go into autopilot. Mm-hmm. Like after I stopped playing hockey, I would still be rooming with some teammates who would get up at 5 a.m. for lifts, go to the rink, practice, everything, and be home at 9 p.m. and do work. And I just couldn't believe that was me last year. And so it's almost like you just get in this autopilot mode and you figure it out, and you obviously adjust your schedule. I was able to meet a lot of non-athletes after that, and that also was very important to my last 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I think this is a good lesson for people who are going through the decision-making process of going to school, whether they want to go down to the NCAA, pursue athletics. Just choosing what school, university you're going to in post-secondary is so important. Having a fit outside of your athletic role and having an academic spot that you are committed to and making sure that you're going to finish your degree is super important. You can speak to that probably more than anyone. Graduating with a Bachelor of Economics, how important was that, finding that fit before you went there?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that everyone tells you, find a place that you can go to that if you are no longer to play your sport due to injury or anything, that you'll still love. And I got that, but I was like, there's no way that's going to happen to me. And then it happened, and I was so lucky that I still love that school and the city especially. Boston is hard to beat. So I think that my journey of figuring out if Harvard was right for me was more of talking to previous athletes, going to the city, and being within the whole community, and that helped a lot. So I knew that no matter what I was going to be okay, but yeah, I think no matter what, it's an adjustment after no longer playing the sport. So
for sure. Who were those people that you talked to? Can you drop some names of some Harvard alum?
I think Well, there was one that went to the Olympics, and she wasn't actually going to come back and play. And then in my freshman year, she decided to continue in the second half. I think she went through like a concussion, and after coming back from the Olympics, wasn't going to take her last year of eligibility, just finished school. Josephine Pucci, and she's just like such a great defense. She was iconic, and she's doing amazing things for the concussion situation in the States, has a foundation down there. So I think talking to a few of those people were very crucial for me making a decision.
Can you describe your injury and share what exactly happened? Because not only did you have your injury, but then you were smoked in a vehicle a couple of years later. So like, let's talk about what you've had to deal with over the past couple of years and how difficult that was at times, but what you used to get out of there, and how you're a bundle of sunshine, as Phoenix would describe you.
Oh my gosh, I feel like Phoenix is a bundle of sunshine, but I think the injury initially was like, okay, this is what I got to do, take a year off, get surgery. The surgery was unsuccessful, unfortunately, so I had to go and get another surgery after a year.
It was your ankle, right?
Yeah.
And what was the exact like medical
situation?
term?
It was talonavicular bone.
Your talonavicular bone.
And it might be in between that. There was a crack. So I got a bone graft and like a screw.
And what was the initial root cause of injury?
It was a lot of running at a camp that caused the injury right after season. So we ran, I think, like 30K in one day. My Apple Watch said, at least.
Your Apple Watch said you were overreaching?
Yeah, it was like, go to a hospital right now. So yeah, I did that. And then through the summer, it just got worse. And I kind of was typical athlete, ignoring it, thinking it would get better. And then they did an x-ray and it was broken. So then I got the surgery.
Knowing what you know now, like, because that is still the narrative that people subscribe to. It's, hey, push through. This is just hard work. This is what tough feels like. Yeah. And there, at times, don't get me wrong, there is time and place for that. But did you know that you were really hurt? Could you tell? Were you trying to push through? Like, looking back, you're like, oh, I should have just gone in because that could have changed things?
Yeah, I think because it was like 2 or a year and a half out of the Olympics, I was like, it doesn't matter. Like, you got to push through it. And that was my goal, was 2018. And so I think looking back, if I knew the feeling today, I would know that it was not a good thing. So yeah, I definitely would be more cautious of injuries today, but you do what you can in the moment. You
do a lot of work on your body now, making sure it's in good shape.
Yeah.
You're obviously subscribing to a pretty good diet down in Los Angeles, getting your juices in. Like, what was the biggest change from high school hockey, edge, pursuit of excellence here in Kelowna, to transitioning to NCAA, Harvard? Were there a couple big, like, oh, welcome to the next step moments?
Yeah, I want to say, like, when you're in high school, you're a big fish in a small pond. I think that's the phrase. Yeah. And then you get to school and there's like 4 years of athletes with you. So it's no longer like 2 years like U18 being 16, 17 playing. It's now 4 years where the fourth, like a senior can be, I don't know, 23 years old and have so many more years of training and strength on you. So I'd say the strength portion was a big thing. The speed for sure. So
were there things you wish you did before going to like Harvard that first summer, training wise, getting ready?
I would say one of the bigger things is like the training in college, I think, has changed a lot from how it used to be to now, even from when I was playing. They were very focused on like lift as much as you can and all that stuff. And I think training across the board has changed for athletes in hockey. So I don't know exactly how much I would change, but I think like lifting heavier probably in that moment. But now I don't know because I think it's changed. Well, you still have a ton of guys and girls playing competitively now that you still interact with. A guy who we know
you know more than I do. Sam Steele's lighting it up for the Wild right now.
Yeah.
Funny connection. We don't have to go into details as to why I know Sam, but you had a good group in Edmonton that you trained with, a guy like Mike Soroka as well. What was that kind of group of athletes in Edmonton, Calgary, Alberta athletes? There's something about that little, is it the Alberta beef?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just strictly the beef, the mountain air. What else? Yeah, I think we had such a deep core of hockey players in Edmonton alone. So we had a lot of we even trained with Johnny Boychuk for a summer and
nice.
Jason Chimera, and they bring so much fun energy to the group even. So I think training with some of the guys even in the summers was huge for even Emirates and I, because we would be up at 7 training with them, and it pushed us, and then we would go on the ice with them. So we were very, very lucky to be in a group like that.
That's a interesting point, because I feel like not many athletes are willing to expose themselves to a different kind of level, i.e. U18 female hockey player playing with a Johnny Boychuk or something, right? There's a big step in between there, and you've got to have some serious cojones to be I'm going to go compete with these guys, right? That probably helped you a ton later on, and just having that confidence to be I can take on anything, right?
Yeah, for sure. And they were so great to Emirates and I. And Emirates, I remember a few times we would be scrimmaging at the end of practice with all the guys in the professional league, and Johnny did not take it easy on Emirates. He would tee it up and do one-timers on her, and she wouldn't even flinch. So I think for her especially, it was so essential to her development too. For a forward, I just was just trying to keep up with the lungs alone. So
who were some other people that you looked up to growing up? I know Megan Augusta is someone who we're going to have on the show when we're back in White Rock at some point, but who were some other athletes that you looked up to that were inspirations for you?
Yeah, I think Poulin. When I was in my probably, I think I was in grade 12, or maybe I was even younger, maybe grade 10. She was in her first Olympics as might have been 17 or 18, and she scored overtime winners and all that stuff. So Poulin was for sure the biggest person I looked up to, and then once you meet her as a person, she exceeds any expectation with that too. So that was a really cool experience. Who else? Crosby. Yeah, I mean, I feel I'm basic with my idols, but they're it's a reason why they're where they are, and meeting her as a person, that also just helps. So
was a guy like Ryan Smith someone you looked up to as an Edmonton Oilers fan growing up?
Yeah, because I remember seeing him play his last game with the Oilers, and just being so emotional, and seeing how passionate he was for just the city alone, and being from Banff, Alberta, that he just wanted to be a part of the Oilers. And so I think Ryan Smith was obviously a fan favorite even for me. So
he had the flow going. He had a lot going on for him. You're right. He did have the community on his side.
Yeah, the tongues out, everything.
There you go.
Yeah.
What do you think about the Oilers right now? What are they going on? What's happening? Obviously, we saw them lose in the second round this year to the team that eventually won the cup. So
that doesn't hurt as bad, but still hurts.
Still stings a little bit. The Leafs try and claim to be like that too, but why are Canadian teams not winning? Does Bettman have a case for just avoiding Canadian teams?
Yeah, I think he's just keeping it in the American market.
Right?
Yeah.
It's just a little conspiracy. I got the tinfoil hat on, but 30 years, no Canadian winners. I'm kind of cheesed.
Yeah. I think honestly, the Oilers' time is coming. I think it's going to be either next year or the following.
Hot take this year.
Sorry to the Maple Leafs. I know that's a family favorite here. So
not for me.
Not for you.
Screw them.
You're Canucks.
Yeah, I'm Canucks.
Okay, that's even worse. So
you're not wrong. They're in a tough spot right now.
Literally have no chance.
Hey, we just bought out Oliver Ekman-Larsson's contract for $18 million. Francisco Aquilini's just gonna write him a nice check, say see you later. We got some rebuilding to do though, but we got good pieces: Thatcher Demko, Elias Pettersson, Quinn Hughes.
Yeah.
We got a good core. You gotta believe in guys who are gonna put it. Yeah, believe. Thank you.
Just believe and believe.
Just if I had my Ted Lasso image right here.
Yeah.
That is me.
Ted
right there.
Lasso. I still have yet to watch an episode of that. Shamefully.
It actually hurts me a little bit.
I know. It hurts a lot of people in my life, and I think it's actually causing a lot of strain on my relationships, and I'm so sorry.
For anyone listening, I'd love to hear if you're a Ted Lasso fan, taking part, listening, watching. If you've watched all 3, drop a comment below in YouTube, and I'll pick one person to send a hat to because you watched Ted Lasso, and you're a great person for doing that.
Good plug to Ted.
And to YouTube. We got to grow our subscribers, you know. This is part of what we're doing, you know, social media, interacting, you guys going to softball events, recruiting NHLers for the pod. Everything's for the pod.
There's a couple other strategies that are just in the works for us. So yes. I'm excited.
Yeah, and you're helping advise other athletes with us too, and I think that's so cool. Like for me, I guess that's kind of what I'm trying to do right now, right? Yeah. With educating, entertaining, and inspiring through the Athletes podcast. But the fact that you've been kind of seeking out to do that for the next gen on your own is really admirable. And I just wanted to thank you for that and kind of highlight the fact that you are going above and beyond helping women in sport, showcase to them what it takes, give all the insight and knowledge that you were able to accumulate going through the process, right? Because it's not easy. No,
and I think the women's sport industry is changing so drastically, especially this year alone. And the possibilities of people who are in college, girls in college, now being able to be sponsored and take brand deals and grow their following and have a real career outside of just their sport is so important to be able to give my 2 cents, but just be a part of it again. I kind of took a bit of a hiatus in the last 4 years after college and found myself back with the excitement and potential of being that for kids.
It's tough losing your sport, probably going through that, like injuries like you went through, we also talked about the car accident, as we try and keep things positive. We just talked with a sports psychologist last week, Professor Adam Nichols from the University of Hull. And one piece was talking about optimism and how that can play a part and play a huge role in mental visualization and just seeing yourself going out and being active and doing those things again is key. Were you using that during your times? What were you doing to make sure that when push came to shove afterwards, you're crushing it in your business life after with your dad? How were you able to see the light at the end of that tunnel?
Yeah, I think my biggest thing was being around my best friends and family. I really realized that at the end of the day, they just want you to be happy, and that's all that matters. So I think I surrounded myself with my best friends and family and went and did things that I'd never been able to do before. I was never to LA before that. I had never been to certain cities and travel. So I've done things that I know if I was still in it, I wouldn't have been able to do. And it's brought me so much peace of the whole situation. So yeah, I feel really good about the whole process of getting back to hockey and being involved.
Yeah, it's so cool. You wouldn't have had the Thai show Brussels sprouts either.
Oh my gosh, you guys. We think about those Brussels every day, don't we?
They're legit.
Yeah.
If anyone from Thai show is watching, I know it's Dr. Dre's. What was the best food in Harvard? Were you guys, campus life?
Yeah.
Is it everyone just studying all the time? Are people active, social, doing things? Is it just a bunch of Mark Zuckerbergs? What's it like on campus?
Yeah, I think it would be a shock that everyone still knows how to have a really good time most days. Unless you're an athlete, you really have a few days a week maybe that you can go out and have fun. But the dining hall is definitely a place where people just gather until, 1 a.m. If you're not an athlete, I was doing my homework at 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. It's a weird adjustment, but it happened. And it was, you just kind of adjust your schedule based on, I guess, your daily activities, because I was definitely involved in other things besides hockey in my last 3 years. I was a part of the economics club.
Boston or LA?
LA. The weather, it's, but whenever I go back to Boston, it just brings me back to all the sporting events and the Sox. You have the Bruins, the Patriots, which I've never been to, the Celtics, which I've never been to. But you have a lot of sports.
They have good sports fans.
Yeah.
They had a good run in sports with the Red Sox, the Celtics. They had
In Boston, they really were supposed to this year.
They were supposed to. They did not, though. They lost to Florida. And did you see the injuries the Florida Panthers were playing with?
Yeah.
Like, I'm pretty sure Aaron Ekblad had a torn shoulder, a broken foot. Matthew Tkachuk had a broken sternum, played through game 3 and 4.
That's the wildest.
Brandon Montour had a torn labrum
Wow.
and played through it. And then Radko Gudas also had some other injury. It was crazy. I couldn't believe it. I was like, these guys are animals.
Yeah.
Hockey players are different breed.
Different. And I was definitely cheering for Florida. I'm
Right?
not gonna lie, but it is what it is.
Vegas wins. What do you think of Vegas winning it? Like Eichel, I know you've got some interactions with him. It was nice to see him kind of winning the cup after some tough years in Buffalo.
Yeah, definitely seeing somebody who went through it in Buffalo. Obviously, I have no real idea what that was, but you see somebody who was a part of a team that was struggling, and then he gets a renewed excitement, even probably for his own game.
Mm-hmm.
The confidence booster probably he got. It's cool to see that. You can see how it's like a relief. He's like, okay, I did it. Now he's good.
He won the cup before McDavid did.
Mm-hmm.
Drafted after him, and crazy surgery he had to go through to get traded from Buffalo to Vegas to a team who would actually let him get a surgery. That whole circumstance was crazy too. But it goes back to Harvard could have
just dipped on me. I know.
Right?
Yeah. So I just look at that, the support I had from my teammates and coach. Again, it's you see other people go through it, and it's, I'm so grateful.
What would you say to younger athletes now who are going through maybe 15, 16, 17, 18 years old, looking at schools? Would you suggest Ivy League? Would you let them explore campus? What would be your kind of checklist of things if you were a young athlete now trying to go to the NCAA to play hockey?
I think the team culture is a huge thing, and you will never really know what the culture is like until you get involved in it, but you can have a little bit of an idea if you do some campus visits and an unofficial visit or official visit. I'm not really positive how it works anymore, but I think that's a major thing. Your program, if you're actually interested in pursuing pre-med, go to a school that's really pushes you to be in pre-med or is something that it's known for. But as far as Ivy versus non-Ivy, it comes down to a lot of things, your financial aid, being able to get a scholarship or a full ride. You can't do that at Ivy. So I think it comes down to your personal thing. I obviously will always promote Ivy because at the end of the day, I'm so lucky. I'll always look back on that on my my resume and be so grateful for that. So yeah, it's hard because I'm a little biased, but I also see the full ride scholarship to Minnesota, and you probably are gonna win a national championship if you go to Minnesota or Wisco. So yeah, there's that whole you gotta balance what the benefits are.
You play less games in the Ivy Leagues as well, right? So we just had Ryan Fanti on, and he was at the University of Minnesota, and so you look at pros, cons. I guess it's really optimizing for what's best for you and what you're looking to achieve, right?
Yeah.
If you want to win a national championship, if you want to get a bunch of ice time, if you want to make sure your academics are in check, I'd say probably talk with that support network. Like you said, that's what you have to lean on. For
sure. And being realistic with yourself. Obviously, you never want to underestimate your abilities, but I think your long-term goals really play a huge factor in that. So. And
you weren't a stranger to scoring big-time goals. Scoring your overtime winner 2-1 against the States. Can you share what that was like, that experience, that game, what it was like, the emotions?
Yeah, I definitely peaked early in life. It was definitely the greatest moment of my life. No, I think that was one of the coolest moments because in that moment, seeing my teammates and like the bond we have, I'll like remember forever. My best friend, one of my best friends today, Hannah Bunton, was the one that passed me the puck on the I think it was 3-on-3 in overtime, if I'm not mistaken. And we have that like bond forever, and it really is so special. But yeah, it was an all-time high at that moment.
You just you were exposed to some incredible things at a young age. You're still doing incredible things to this day, and you have high ambitions.
Yeah.
What was your favorite part about putting on that Canadian flag?
Yeah.
Repping.
I think probably I remember watching back a video of that goal even, and hearing my dad in the background and his emotion. He like was almost borderline crying in his voice, and I still will break down a little bit because it was really such a huge sacrifice he made, my parents made, my brother made. My brother kind of not took the back seat, but he was just supporting, from behind, and he had his own thing going on. And I think that's important to, recognize if you have a sibling that's has different goals and isn't in the sports industry, to recognize how he supported me as well. So I would say just like my family being so like proud is like the most special thing.
I wish we had a clip of what James looked like in the moment.
Oh my gosh. I think I have the clip that I can give you, but you can hear it in his voice. It's a little bit ridiculous.
Well, and it was probably similar to your reaction when you saw the fact that a PHF player signed a $150,000 contract also.
Jaw dropped. Yeah. I think that's like so huge for female hockey players, and you can actually make a living at it and more. So seeing that, I think it was Daryl Watts, is so huge for the sport alone. It's just a statement that, it's coming really quickly. So
hopefully that's the goal, right? And that's what that's what we're pushing for, right? And I think it's long overdue, put it that way. And it's still only probably accounting for somewhere between 5 and 10% of mainstream sports, but it's progress, right? Baby steps. Good things take time. That's one of the things I like to tell myself for the Athletes podcast. And I think that's the way we have to look at things, hopefully long term. And it'll be crazy what 5-10 years down the road looks like, because you said you couldn't have believed that 5-10 years ago. Again, the quote I look back on from Rhonda Racich is the fact that the windshield is way bigger than the rearview mirror. Yeah,
I love that. And I think just knowing that no matter what in the future, it's going to figure itself out. If it's not what you're passionate about today, it'll be something you're going to find your passion. You'll go through stints where you're like, not sure what your passion is, and then you like find it. And so, I think it's just knowing it's all going to be good. And sports definitely bring people together. So it's a very special thing.
Similar to how a team would come together in the NCAA, Team Canada, ton of different personalities coming into one dressing room. What was the culture like when you've got 18 different women in one D room?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is like everyone's very type A in a good way. Like they're all just trying to be the best they can be, and they're all probably the best on their NCAA teams or high school teams. So I think the culture was definitely like you kind of adjusted to like your position in that dressing room at the time.
Pecking order.
Pardon?
Pecking order?
Yeah, exactly. And so there was moments where you're like, it's the same thing. You're like a little bit of imposter syndrome, and you're just trying to do your best. But the culture was great. I think everyone was so competitive, and I think that lifted a lot of it. And sometimes it was a little bit tense, but we all just wanted to win a gold medal at the end of the day. So
yeah, it's when you've got 20 high performers going after one goal, and they're all type A, like you said, and people aren't going at 100 miles an hour in the same direction, things can get dicey, and people will hold you accountable, right?
For sure, yeah. And especially if it's just for a tournament, and then you're going back to your team after the Christmas tournament's over or whatever. So yeah, you really adjust really quickly. You have to be a chameleon. I guess a part of like the hockey thing was I actually don't remember a time in my life where I didn't know how to skate, which is so crazy because like clearly my dad was a little bit crazy.
Was he like Tiger's dad, like putting you in skates before you knew what was really going on?
For sure. And like when you live in Canada in the deepest, coldest winters, I think well, I wanted to play hockey, but my brother didn't. So I stole his equipment, and he thought it was a phase, and girls didn't really play hockey, and he allowed me to do it. But yeah, I think that's kind of the craziest thing is I don't remember not knowing how to skate.
Yeah, because it was
or learning. Yeah.
Like before 2 years old, you started.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, my dad was crazy. Just kidding.
I feel like he's like the definition of like hashtag girl dad who owns it, loves it.
Yeah.
You see like Andrew East, who's like a proud girl dad.
Yeah.
There's a movement out there for girl dads.
Yeah, he is my best friend, and he's almost like a kid also. He was a kid raising kids, so we always and now we're working together. So having a close-knit family has always been so important to me, and I hope my future kids get that as well. So
as someone who's watched many episodes, I'm sure, probably all 181 of the Athletes podcast, I know. The way we wrap up, asking our guests biggest piece of advice. You've shared a lot. I appreciate it sincerely. Coming up to Kelowna for this episode, you didn't have to do that, but again, going above and beyond for us.
Yep.
We should have been drinking Rooted during this episode, but we drank it this morning in our ice shaker that we already gave you. Thanks so much. To wrap up, we do need your biggest piece of advice. Cole's Notes, Carly Heffernan, that next gen. What do you want to leave them with today?
I think the biggest thing is no matter what, you can only control the controllables. So by doing that, I think you'll feel a little bit more at peace during the highs and lows. And there's no athlete on this planet that has ever been through just an easy linear progression in their career. So I think really just leaning on people during those lows and find other passions outside of your sport can really help you, find peace within it. So
damn, if you haven't found your peace yet, you'll find it within sport. Thanks so much, Carly, for coming on the show. Where can people find you on socials?
My Instagram is Carly Heffernan. I'm not super on the TikTok, but who knows? TBD. Yeah, I think that's basically where I'm mostly on.
You're pretty active. You're out there golfing every day. People are going to follow along your journey to break 80. It's probably going to happen before the end of this summer.
And I mean, the pressure's on, and I'm really nervous that people are going to expect a lot more from me if I...
Well, now that you get the AP bump, you're going to be expected to be breaking 80.
I hope, hopefully that'd be really cool.
Next time you're out in Kelowna, this weekend when you're recruiting for the AP, we'll get you on the range, another practice lesson, we'll be good to go.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Carl.
I had an amazing time.
Hey, thanks so much for tuning in to the 183rd episode of the Athletes Podcast. What'd you think? Let us know down below who you want to hear more from. If you want to ask Carly more questions on her quest to become the best golfer in Edmonton, maybe south of the border in California. I had a blast chatting with her. I can't thank her enough for coming to Kelowna, sitting down with Phoenix and I, chopping it up, playing around at golf. It was a blast. Can't wait for you folks to continue to follow along this journey with the Athletes Podcast. Our producer, beautiful producer, Phoenix Wayland, is behind the camera. My name's David Stark, your host. I can't thank you enough for tuning in. Can't wait to see you next week. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye.